It will haunt you every night. Whatever they are, no one should have to encounter that kind of evil. Except you girls, I think you can handle it.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Somebody is trying to unleash the dead on New York City, and we may be the only ones that can save it.
Why am I operating the untested nuclear laser?
You have the longest arms. Fire!
These women are just sad.
I'm sure she just misspoke.
Sad, bored, lonely, sad women.
Oh.
Hello, I'm here about the receptionist job.
Hi. You're hired.
God, you're all sweaty. There are people out there that need our help.
Okay, I got it. We need to form a group and build something to fight these damn ghosts.
That's exactly what we already do here.
We're the Ghostbusters! Something big is gonna happen.
I think the word we're looking for is apocalypse.
I will kick the unliving crap out of you, and you, especially you.
We don't want mass hysteria.
Get out of the city! Get out of the city!
Kevin, can you answer the phone?
I can't, it's in the fish tank.
The one on the desk.
Oh, that one. What's the place called again?
Conductors of the Metaphysical Examination.
Got it. Ghostbusters.
Patty! Don't move!
You got a,
No, I'm tired.
No.
Listen,
I'm just gonna go ahead and take off. How about that?
I don't really think that's a good idea.
No, going to take off. Don't upset the ghost. Really?
Hello there, world, wherever you are. This is a shortened episode of There Will Be Geek. I'm Mike.
I'm Shani.
I'm Kev.
And for this episode, we're going to give you our brief review of the new Ghostbusters movie. For those of you who listened to the recent podcast, we did promise you a review. We figured this one was better off with its entire own mini episode.
Yeah, because just in case, everyone's worried about spoilers. Not that you really should be for this movie, but you might be. So this is a little bonus episode we're doing where we can just cover it on its own.
Yes.
In isolation.
Spoiler alert, the Ghostbusters bust ghosts.
Yes, I know. So, we all went to see this movie on Monday night at the rather wonderful Sun Theatre Cinema in Yarraville in Victoria. And I think, well, guys, I'm going to go over to you. What was your overall impression of the movie?
It wasn't as awful as I was kind of expecting. It's fun. It's entertaining. Look, the leads are all great. They have a great chemistry together. And I would certainly be interested in seeing, another movie with these ladies. Script was crap though. And it kind of just let the whole thing down for me.
See, for me, I consistently smiled all the way through.
Oh, I could hear you laughing.
I know. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. And I didn't love it because it was something that was nothing more than surface. But I was just laughing and thoroughly engaged. And for me, there was an awful lot of those four ladies being funny and it being a funny film covered up a lot of cracks. And there were quite a few cracks in there.
Yeah, it is a weird case because it is very entertaining.
Yeah.
I had a good time with it. It's just that afterwards, the more you actually think about the story, that's when you start coming in with, oh, well, hang on, how did this happen? And why did this happen? And how does that make sense? And unfortunately, there was a lot of that stuff going on.
If you'd listened to our previous podcast, you would have known that when I was watching the trailer, I thought the characters were going to be so annoying. And I went in with the lowest expectations ever. I was thinking I was not going to enjoy this flick, but it actually turned out okay. I'm not going to, sing it from the mountains that everyone needs to go see this. It's mind-blowing. Oh, my God. Because it's not. But it is one of those flicks that you can turn on a Sunday afternoon when you got nothing better to do and you just want to switch off your brain and laugh. It's just easy to watch and, yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing. All of the performers in there were very engaging. We have good performances from Melissa McCarthy, from Kristen Wiig, from Leslie Jones, from Kate McKinnon. Chris Hemsworth's character was an absolute riot. He was fantastic fun.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, I think it was one of the he was one of the standout performers in there because he played big and dumb and blonde and manly and all that kind of stuff and some stereotype subversion perfectly. It was really, really well done. And the rest of the supporting cast was also pretty decent. I mean, you've got Michael Kenneth Williams in there from those of you who are fans of The Wire will be familiar. Yet we got Omar. But there's a whole bunch of other people. It works as a movie. It's fun and it's silly. And actually, this is an origin story. This is something that's basically setting us up for somewhere down the line. We could do some more of these movies. And I would be totally fine with that because, and this is the other thing, they were women doing the thing, but they were just people doing a thing. It wasn't a big deal. It was just some academics who did it. And my biggest problem was, as Cav said, the script was not great, and there was an element of, okay, so tab A, slot B, these situations are happening because they are necessary for the plot, and it felt that was too obvious at times.
And I think as well, I mean, what sort of bugged me a bit was it followed the same beats as the original, but didn't handle them as well. I mean, in the original, you got a real sense that these guys were going into business, they were working out as they went along and got better at what they did. And in the end, they had to save the world. But even though they were a bit more experienced than they were at the beginning of the movie, they still had no idea what they were doing. Whereas in this movie, these guys start ghost busting. They bust one ghost, and all of a sudden they're a sensation. And then they have to go and save the world, and there's no real build-up. Yeah. And especially at the end where suddenly they're all action heroes.
Yeah.
And they're doing the proton foo stuff and flipping ghosts around, and it felt there for the sake of looking cool, but it lost that sense of these characters trying to feel their way around this thing, and a bunch of academics now trying to be ghost exterminators.
It is one of those ones where the more you analyse it, the more you realise it's not all that great. But as I say, I mean, look, I went into the cinema, I was nervous because I wanted it to be good, but I was terrified it was going to be really awful. I've not seen any work with that combination of those performers, although I've seen them in other things before. I really, really liked it. I like the dynamic between the people in there. I thought that worked. And I think also, for example, I mean, Kate McKinnon's character of Holtzman that has become the kind of the standout role that a lot of people have latched onto because I think she was the one character that really kind of stood apart from everybody else.
Yeah, and I've heard that given as a criticism as well. That I've heard I've looked up a lot of reviews saying that she stood out in the sense that she felt like she was in a different movie. I enjoyed her personally. I like the fact she was this very quirky character, but there was kind of mischievousness about her. I really enjoyed.
And I think as well, not to be discounted on this, apart from Rick Moranis, who said no for the same reason he's been saying no for a while, and that he's pretty much, for the moment, entirely retired from acting and has done for many, many years since the unfortunate death of his wife, everybody else who was one of the main actors from the original movie signed on for cameos. And the fact that they were quite prepared to be involved with this, that there's an element of me thinking, you know what, that works, that's fine.
Yeah. It's got a rubber stamp of approval from them, like that they've willingly gone, yep, you know what, I will be in this.
Yeah, the plot and the scripting and the kind of the mechanics behind everything wasn't quite as much there. And I think, honestly, that was probably a decision that was made by the creators to do that. You know what? We're not less fussed about that. Let's just let these girls be funny. And it kind of worked to an extent.
Yeah, because the thing is, I read an interview with Paul Feig a few days ago saying that they wound up with something like 4 hours of footage for the first cut, which is a huge amount, but isn't completely uncommon in movies which rely a lot on improvisation. And it seems there was a lot of improvisation used. The problem is improv-based movies work best when you have a very clear idea of who your characters are, what their arcs are, where the story's going. And this was a movie that actually had a script written for it. It wasn't meant to be a purely improv movie. And I think the result, it did feel very choppy. You could tell there was a lot cut out of it. And I think there was, in a lot of ways, maybe they could have reined back on the improvisation and letting everyone try and out-funny each other and try and focus it in a bit more, because there's so much good in there.
I will say this, the other problem the movie suffers from is it starts really strongly. And that first opening scenes, with like pre-credit scene, is actually really, really, really funny. And very, very well executed. And it's one of those moments of oh, that's the tone of the movie. Well, this looks interesting, and it never quite manages to be as good as that in large chunks of the rest of it.
I think this would have been better if they hadn't tried to recreate the original Ghostbusters movie and perhaps made this own story, like a continuation on like a few years later, or someone's like one of the original Ghostbusters' daughter or something who's picking up the mantle or something, rather than just trying to recreate something that's already been told. That being said, though, I didn't find myself sitting there in the movie going, oh, but they did this in the first movie, why haven't they done it in this one? Like, I didn't actively compare them when I was watching it. I just, enjoyed this as its own kind of standalone movie.
So overall, what are your thoughts on the movie then? What do we think about this? Did we enjoy this? Do we reckon it's going to be well worth people going to see it? What do we think of for the future of this franchise, potentially?
I thought it was good. Like, I'm not going to scream out that everyone has to go see it. It's just a good, fun romp. I think a lot of people will want a sequel to it because the characters do work so well together, and the graphics of it are absolutely beautiful, like the ghosts themselves how well they look, and they actually feel real kind of and belong in this world.
Hopefully also next time without a rubbish cameo from Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was very shoved in.
Why did you just put him in there? And I could have understood it if it was a different band that was playing, but I didn't know who the band was who was playing. Like, I'm sorry if I'm not cool enough to get that, but I was like, am I supposed to know who they are?
And it was the most obvious joke. I think it's a joke we've seen Ozzy do 800 times. It's like, Sharon, I took loads of drugs.
Yeah.
That was basically just it. It was just, why? It didn't really have much of an impact,
No, it was good, and I think, honestly, it's one of those ones where if they look back in a few years' time when they do want to do the second movie, because this is very much, even with the ending, the post-credit sequence...
Yes, check that out.
That sets it up nicely for a follow-up movie, which is good. Because honestly, I think Ghostbusters 2, we've dealt with before, is not a great sequel, whereas the follow-up to this Ghostbusters movie might have a chance to actually be something new and original. Because I think there is an element of, if you're going to be relaunching Ghostbusters as a franchise or a universe or something like that, you kind of have to get this whole origin story bit out of the way, and then you can start to tell more original stories. And actually, number 2 might end up being really, really good because it will be doing something new.
I think it very well could be. I think that with a much more focused script, and less of that need to try and build up as something new while placating fans of the original, like all that stuff comes with rebooting an origin story. I think there's a lot of potential. As it is, what we have now, look, I describe it as a perfect Sunday afternoon Netflix movie.
Yeah.
It's a hangover movie. It's not going to tax you too much. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it looks great. It's very funny in spots, and it's basically entertaining.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I smiled all the way through, and I laughed a lot, and that will do me. I mean, it was not something I felt a deep connection watching to, but you know what? I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Okay, unless anyone else has got anything else to contribute on this one.
No, except that now I know that aquariums are fish submarines.
We're finished!